Welcome everyone to the season one of Block Talks, the Web3 series proudly brought to you by OpenCode NIT Rourkela. In today's session, we will be discussing about introduction to blockchain technology. So, to kick things off, let's meet our host. So, I am Dhrutinandan Swain.
And I am Kumar Verma. And I will be taking the first session of the series. Basically, in today's session, we will be talking about talking about basics of blockchain, what blockchain is, its analogies, and its key properties, and also as well as we will also be discussing about working of blockchain and its several applications. So, without any further delay, I should start. So, let's start with knowing what a blockchain is. So let's imagine I am giving you all a notebook or a notepad, and I am also like I am saying that you could write something on it. But the catch is, you can only write something. You cannot erase it or update it, or you cannot tamper with it. Anyhow, once you have written something, it is written. Other people may write on it and pass it to others. But the thing is, what you have written initially, it will be maintained throughout all the other iterations. Many people will write and all, but it will be maintained. Now that's give us a general idea of what a blockchain is. What like in blockchain also, whatever you transaction, you can say whatever activity you do, it is stored. Many mutations may occur, but it will be stored and will be what we say proceeded with following change, and it will be kept. So if I have to get more technical, you can say a blockchain is a distributed decentralized cryptographic ledger that records transactions in a secure tamper-proof manner using linked data structure. I know it may be a bit complicated for you now, but uh, you can say, it is like how it is. And so basically, what happens in a blockchain is like if I have to get in more in an analogical way in it, like how does it works? You can say uh, has like has is a keyword that is stored, and in a block what happens is it is like a train. Many carriers are connected to each other, and they're connected through connectors. In blockchain, same blocks are connected through chain links, and it forms a chain. That is what we call a blockchain. That's where term come from. A block is can be say block can be any unit. It will be storing any transaction, any data that is present, and it is then further connected to another block, and that also stores the previous hash of the previous block as well as its own hash, which will provide to the upcoming block, and that's how transaction basically occurs. The data is saved between a change format and throughout a blockchain is started. As you can see here, let's say this ABC, it coming from the first block, and it's a genesis block. Generally, the block we start the chain is called a genesis block. We will get into more terminology in further in the series, but that is what it is. Uh, it is taking what I say has from previous block, and it also having its own has, and then it passes to the another block, we can say. But now, yeah. Now let's say I have to change this as. Let's say I'm mentioning it EFG. Huh? So basically, if I were to change this to EFG, this will also do change because it is coming from this area, and it has its own copy. So if I were to change this, the chain will break because it is not matching. And if it is not matching, chain will break. Now this is a thing about one node, and it is kept out across many nodes. And if a change is not propagated or not related by the previous one, it breaks. And that is a uniqueness of the blockchain in general. Because if the changes are not propagated properly, chain will break and it does not propagate anymore. That is also like how that is also sort of how the safety of blockchain depends on it. Like you cannot tamper with the data at any point of time. Once it is created, it is created. It won't be changing anytime sooner. And so like second chain, but no, just imagine a train with carriage, but a more complicated and more secure one. And if I have to say further about it, there are like as you can many property depending on it. First of all, you can say decentralization, transparency, and immutability are also properties. But what do you mean by decentralization? Generally, in decentralization, what I am saying, basically, many of you are web developers here, I imagine, or generally have ever worked with servers. So basically, in Web 2 versions, what happens? A single server is present and it's serving to um, all the people. It acts as a mediator. Like we are sending some requests, and you send request to the user, and vice versa. It is happening. But in decentralized system, P2P or is it peer-to-peer transaction occurs. So there's no mediator. Everything is done between but is also stored across multiple networks. And how they are managed, this is basically the consensus we will be talking about in the future session what consensus is. But just decentralization allow users to keep their data across multiple platforms and ensure there's no tampering is occurring, because there is no single entity, so data cannot be tampered without acknowledgement. Now it comes to the another point, transparency and security. So when we discuss about transparency and security, basically what happens in blockchain, everything is public. Whatever transaction you made and whatever its content was, everything is public. And it is like, but users are okay, what can I say, what users are anonymous. They are basically assigned 64 bits hashes to keep the identity safe. And basically you are able to read your transactions, like what is it, but you cannot change them. Which come out to the next point, immutability. Immutability is like just like I explained in previous slide, you cannot change, you cannot change something without affecting other assets. So that's immutability. You are not able to make changes. Once it is created something, it is created, and you there's no going back with it. Another fact can be, if you guys are aware about Bitcoin hasn't been hacked since the introduction of blockchain usage, because the blockchain is so secure, you can, it is like currently unhackable for now. Now this was the basic properties of blockchain. We were talking more about further in the series. Now, my friend Thujandan will be explaining the working of blockchain and all. Okay, but you can start with your part.
So thank you, Hers. So now, guys, we will be going through the working of blockchain. So I have divided into phases for better understanding. So first one is making a transaction. So what is basically a transaction in blockchain world? So like making a transaction is basically sending some amount of digital currency from your wallet to someone else's wallet. And what are wallets here? Wallet here refers to the bank accounts. Like you can refer it as a bank account where your cryptocurrencies are stored. It's a non-physical piece of software that is used to store your cryptocurrencies. As you can see, there is an address on both the wallets. So you can treat address as the bank account numbers that you can use to send or receive money. So what is going in the making on transaction here? So while I'm making a transaction from my wallet to her wallet, I am making a transaction of one Bitcoin. As you can see, it is written here sending one BTC plus gas fee. What is gas fee? Gas fee is actually a transaction fee that you paid, that you pay for your transaction being initialized and broadcasted to the blockchain network and for the further processing. It's like you can see her as like if you're sending a letter by post, you have to pay some fees to the post office. So that's what basically gas fees is here. And digital sign with private key. So let's suppose you give a check to your bank. So how does the bank knows that it's authentic check? They do see for the address of the bank account and all. Also, they check about the signature that you put in. So, digital sign with private key, you can refer it to as the signature that you put on the bank checks. So, let's move toward the next phase, transaction validation. So, after the transaction is initiated, the transaction is broadcasted to the network of nodes. So, what are nodes here? Nodes are basically the computers that are present worldwide that help the blockchain network to run. So, basically, interconnected computers that form a blockchain is known as nodes. So, the transaction I initiated from my wallet to her wallet, that transaction is now broadcasted to all the nodes of the blockchain. And the verification here takes place. What does the nodes actually verify? The nodes actually verify that your wallet has enough amount of currency or coins that you can send to her wallet or the recipient's address. And the signature, the digital sign with the private key is valid or not. After the transactions are validated, the transaction enter the mempool, or also known as the memory pool. This is a waiting area. Like the transaction are validated and completed on like two major bases. One is gas fee. Yeah, the higher the gas fee, higher the processing. For example, I can give a very good example. When you guys deliver like a order products on Amazon, at the time of delivery, you get options: 1 day delivery, 2 day delivery, normal day delivery. As you can see, the prices of these deliveries are different. If you opt for 1 day or 2 day delivery, you pay an higher amount of value so that you can receive the product faster. So gas fees with higher fees, like higher price, it does the exactly same thing. If you pay higher price for your gas fee for a particular transaction, the transaction will lead to faster processing. There are also multiple factors: transaction size as well as transaction age. So blockchain does not only prioritizes the gas fee, although it majorly does, but transaction age and size also comes into factor. Next, moving on towards the next process, packaging transaction and block creation. All the validated transaction in the meme pool are here, present on the yellow box. And on the right hand side is the block. As you can see from the name, blockchain. It's a chain of blocks. And now we are talking about an individual block. All the valid, like step one, in the memory pool, all the valid transactions are waiting. Then in the step two, selection and prioritizing. Miners or the validators, depending upon the network of the blockchain, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, choose transactions of higher priority. Like how does they prioritize? Like the gas fee, transaction age, size, as I told in the previous slide. So after prioritizing the transactions, they put the transactions in a single block that is known as the block formation. Transactions are packed into a block, recorded like a page in a digital ledger. As in a ledger, you can see a ledger contains multiple pages. So each page will continue multiple transactions. So after selection and prioritization, the transactions are like packed into a single page of a ledger system. So now a successful block has been created. Let let the block be called block at the rate 123, 456. At the rate 123, 456 is a block ID, unique ID for the uniqueness of the block to identify. Let's coming toward the next process. Solving for nonce and adding block to the chain. Now here comes one of the most important part. It might be difficult, but stay with me. Here nonce stand for number used once only. So what is basically nonce? Nonce is a special number that miners, like miners are typically a subset of nodes. We will discuss that further. That find a unique value starting with multiple zeros to assign it to the block created. So it might be sound confusing, but let me explain you in a better way. So let me give you an example. So nonce is like a magical number or a special number that can be only used once in the entire blockchain network, and it will be given to a unique block. And the way of finding the nonce is very highly computational. So you must have heard that in the time of COVID, many crypto mining or crypto mining rigs or companies or person, they used to buy a lot of GPUs, like in hundreds, tens, in that order. Why? Because the GPUs provide the high computational values, which help them to calculate and find the value of nonce. Finding the value of nonce is just like a competition. Who finds the correct nonce first? For example, after that block is been after the block has been initiated, many miners, all the multiple miners that are present here, like work on the computation to find the nonce. The one who solves the nonce first and broadcasts the result. After that, the nodes verifies it. If the verification is successful, the block is added to the blockchain network securely. So this was an overview of working of the blockchain as well. And one of our friend, Abhishek Pati, has shared an excellent website here, like blockchain.demo. You guys can go to the chat section and see the here. Let me share that part also. Like I hope you guys can see my screen of that site. Just let me know. Is it visible yet? Okay. So thank you, Abhishek Pati, for sharing this wonderful site. It will be very easy to visualize how the blocks are connected in a blockchain. So as you can hear, is a blockchain. The first block is always known as the Genesis block, as Harsh stated earlier. Let us put some data here. This is the default data. This is the hash. The previous hash is zero, as it is a first block. Let me put some data. Welcome to block top season one. Now the hash has been changed. As the data the block was holding has been changed. Let me compute it. Yes, as you can see, the Genesis block has been created successfully. Let's add a new block. The data will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the data will be some any other thing. See, as I have created three blocks: Genesis block, block number one, block number two. For example, if I change the value of this, as you can see, as I change the value or the data the block one was holding, the hash of that block one changed, which also led to the change in the previous hash, like mismatch. The previous hash it stored was different. Now, the as the previous hash, the block one hash is changed. It's not matching with the previous hash part of the block two. So that's how the chain breaks. So this is a wonderful example you can see. Like I would suggest you guys to go to this site and also check out. You will get a better visual representation of the blockchain. So now coming back to the slides. Okay. Yeah. So this was an overview how blockchain actually works. There are multiple steps also included in individual like the four phases I gave. That will be also discussed in detail in the further sessions. So let me know. Now comes to the real world applications of the blockchain. Like we understood what is blockchain and what are the principles of blockchain. And also, can you share the website link, please? Okay, see you. Let me share it again. I am sharing the blockchain demo link in the comment section as well. Interested folks can go to the site and see. So now coming towards the real world applications of the blockchain. Here I have listed some of the few applications. Decentralized voting system. As of now, the current voting system, we don't know what, like when we go to put our votes, we actually don't know. It happens many parts in the India also. The votes get mismanaged and misconduct takes place, and the votes are not gone to the right person. These things happen. But when we are talking about the decentralized voting system, it happens that every vote that we give will be anomalous. So, and no one, it will be directly registered on the blockchain. So no middleman will be able to interfere with the voting system. So everyone's right to the vote will be actually executed rather than middlemen interfering and violating the rights. And many countries since 2020 have implemented the decentralized voting system with the help of US governments also. In the further future, many countries have also passed the laws. They will be practicing decentralized voting system to maintain the transparency of the votes and the democracy as well. Now comes to the supply chain tracking. So let me explain you this part. Supply chain tracking means the goods that are being supplied from different countries, different continents, from different parts of the world to different parts of the world are currently centralized. Any single authority or the company holds the data of what is being supplied, and mismatch might happen. Like any middleman can interfere with the goods, change the data, and all. So what will happen if we entirely decentralize the supply chain? Everyone knows the data, everyone holds the data, no one can interfere with the data. So proper goods are and the products are delivered from one place to another without any proper intervention or any mishappening with the products. Now comes to the decentralized digital identity part. Currently, our digital identity is centralized. It is being owned by a central authority. You guys must have heard about the news The systems are getting hacked, the users' data are getting linked and sold on the dark sites. But when the digital identity is decentralized, you are the sole owner of your data. No one else has the access unless you provide some of the crucial information about your account, which are not meant to be shared. So without that, it's completely safe in your hands, and you know where your data is going and all. So it also reduces the chance of getting hacked, as the blockchain network is very hard and very computationally heavy. Power is required to hack the decentralized data. And now coming to the decentralized finance, you must have heard about the cryptocurrencies. They come under the division of decentralized finance. P2P transactions, no intervention of the middleman. It's like sending your money to other person without the intervention of any middleman authority like banks. Now there has been also a famous term like and a famous field that's been emerging in the last few years, decentralized gaming. I would suggest you guys to go up to the internet and research about decentralized gaming or what. It is a very interesting topic. So now it was all about the real world applications of blockchain as well. So do you guys have any doubts regarding what was taught till now? You can ask freely. Or any resources you want to follow or anything else. If you are not comfortable in speaking, you can drop your questions on the chat also.
Okay.
Okay. You see Raj, thank you for letting me know that. So
Our next session will be on 4th. Okay, so if you want consensus and all, you guys can keep watch on it and join us on this series. Go ahead.
Abhinav does how to begin to learn blockchain. Okay, let me tell you and share my screen also. I will show you some of the resources.
Wait.
Just let me know if my screen is visible. Is my screen visible? I am sharing just a new tab of Microsoft Edge as well.
Go ahead. Tell us.
Okay, okay. So someone asked about the resources to learn blockchain. So first resource is that YouTube. You go to YouTube, you can research about blockchain, you can research about types of blockchain, currently new emerging blockchains, old blockchain. That is a very good way to start and getting introduced to blockchain. And after that, and as I'm learning, okay, we will get into that. And after that, you can follow some specific resources. One of the most prominent resources is Cypher Updraft. As you can see, blockchain developer courses for smart develop contract resources, explore all courses. This is absolutely free of cost. Start learning from free as well. Uh, Courses. As you can see, check out all courses. Let me see. So these are all the courses that you can learn from Cypher Abstract. It's being mentored by Patrick Collins, one of the prominent names in the education of blockchain, like blockchain basics, solidity smart contracts, boundaries, and all full stack development also. Like there are multiple divisions of blockchain. I would like suggest you to start from here as well. If you want to explore a variety of blockchains, there is another platform, Metaschool, like a home for builders to learn AI. Someone asked and implement ML combined into it. So if you also want to implement ML and to the blockchain, it's a very good site to get you hands-on about implementing ML and a blockchain. Like they will teach you the basic stuffs like built in Web3. Like Metaschool has multiple blockchain courses, like of different blockchain domains: Ethereum, Polygon, zk-Sync, OSIN, Sui, Quill, Tezos, and many more. So if you want to explore multiple variety, you can go to Metaschool. Don't worry, all the links will be shared in the community as well. So these are some of the top sites and some of the YouTube channels like Patrick Collins and DApp University are also some of the recommended sites for learning blockchain. Does blockchain keep track of real-time data if there are frequent changes in the data, or does it keeps only transaction details? Okay, Abhinav, let me explain you one thing. The this particular part has also different session we have planned, but let me give an overview. The blockchain network itself doesn't have the power to communicate with the real world data. Let me show you. Let me give you a visual representation as well. For example, this is a blockchain network, and here is the real world network or the internet slash or the web 2 world, we can say. The blockchain cannot directly communicate with the real world data. And now you may ask, if the blockchain network cannot really communicate with the real world data, how it's gonna process things, how it gonna knows the value, how it be gonna useful to us? There is a solution. Like if the blockchain network gets some help from another entity for communicating with the Web2 world or the current internet, it will be able to receive the data from the real world itself. But now here comes the basic, like most interesting question. Now, as I said, as Hers explained earlier, it's a decentralized thing. There is no central authority. Like if I bring this middleman over here, like we will call it the middleman, like it's basically breaking all the core concepts of blockchain about decentralizing, as the real world data is in the hands of middlemen before reaching to the blockchain network. So how this is going to help blockchain? Now here comes the concept for decentralized oracle networks. We will go in depth in a further session, but let me explain you what is that. So basically, if a blockchain network needs to communicate with the world to world or the current internet, there is not a single entity. There are multiple entities interconnected with each other, providing the data to the blockchain network. So all the real world data is being received by these multiple middlemen. Now, in the multiple middlemen, they are being averaged, they are being verified, they are being checked out thoroughly. After that, the blockchain network uses those data. So basically, the middleman part is also decentralized, which helps in not breaking the core concepts of blockchain. So this is how actually blockchain network really interacts with the Web2 world. This is an upper like a simple explanation in layman's term, so for the better understanding. But there are much more things like that are going inside this.
We'll
I
be
guess
getting into
this.
this part of the blockchain in the next section. Actually, this
Hmm,
part as we move on forward, we have to do multiple things. Like not just about maintaining data, we have to also maintain that data. We have to also generate proof for it. We have to communicate that data we are seeding and data that is holding is correct. Now this comes to a really big discussion, to be honest, and there's we can say a consensus, that is a term that we'll be using heavily in this part if we are going
hmm,
forward with it. We were discussing about it
hmm.
in further sessions, because it would be too much if we started discussing in this session only. There's a
Yes,
lot of things,
absolutely.
and it is quite interesting. How does we do without a server? How do you manage to maintain such large amount of data with so much conciseness? It is a
Hmm,
like amazing thing about blockchain, you can see. And
yes, I guess Abhinav, that answers your question.
can you tell us
Can you
what?
tell us how can we do crypto
Yeah,
mining?
now there are obviously many ways
Oh,
for it. We need to
as
talk.
Abhishek Pati said, like it's one of the
Yeah, like
nicest answer.
proof
Do
of
you
work.
need
Yeah,
money?
you need GPUs if you are doing for a proof of work method. You need GPUs. But when
Yes.
you do for proof
There
of
are
stake,
multiple ways actually. Like the
absolutely.
various blockchain network uses various ways of mining. Like some of them uses consensus mechanism like proof of work, proof of stake. Solana uses proof of history. Like there are multiple ways. Before a long, like 2 to 3 years ago, where GPUs were used, but now there are multiple systems that are currently available. Smaller system like packed system that are used for mining, but not for all type of cryptocurrencies. For specific, I mean the proper process, not the hardware requirements. Okay, you
Like,
mean the proper? That's like that involves multiple server setups. Like you have to initiate the programs to run the hashes. You have to make your rigs as a miner or a node to the blockchain network. And
yeah.
miner and node are not exactly the same term. So the miner comes under a subset of nodes. We will be discussing further that, but that's a separate topic in it itself. But
But
I would recollect your question was like really interesting, nice. Like, how do you actually set up crypto mining? Like, not about the hardware part, about the software part. I would like to like tell you that you should go and explore it more. Like, it will be give a really good like overview what's actually going on. So that's it.
thanks for let me know in depth.
Of
Yes,
course,
yes.
we will be holding other sessions
This
as well
was the donor
to.
sessions. We're just getting started with the saying as what series will be coming
Mm,
in further sessions. We are going in depth.
you
We are
guys.
going to even
Mm.
show you coding tutorials as well as in-depth explanation of everything we are going to cover about it.
So you guys can join our open code community. The further session details and the updates upon the series and other events as well will be shared in our community. So you can join us. And one more thing, the entire series will be recorded and posted on the YouTube. You will, and we will also be sharing multiple resource materials in our open code community as well. So do join us, and we will also be sending the recorded links and the YouTube channel links in the community as well. So if anyone wants to refer it later, he or she can.
So
So that was for today's session.
thank you for
Anyone
joining.
else has doubts?
Yeah, you
Thank you,
can go ahead and
Suryanshu.
ask your doubts. We will be stating but session is official you. But if you want to leave, you can. But you can. We will be answering your doubts for the next 10 minutes, I guess. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Abhishek Pati. Thank you, Abhinav.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rishi.
Rishi. We will sending the details, resources, and the recorded links very soon in the YouTube Open Code community. Also, the links to the slides as well. So we are now officially ending the meet. If anyone has any doubts, can also send in the chats or scan this to
Yes,
let's be
Abhishek.
active in the community and build together. Of course, Abhishek Patapati would like to see that.
Actually, we need to learn Web 2
No, that's
before Web
one of the
3.
interesting thing.
Not
Web3 is an
necessarily.
entirely different thing. You don't need the knowledge of Web2. Like some of the basic knowledge is required. It will be helpful in understanding why
Like you
Web3
can
is
get a
required.
basic overview, like how to how does both things one in that, but you don't need to go
Mm,
in depth in Web 2 to learn Web 3. They are two completely different things. You don't
mm.
have
But learning Web2, like for the basics, how
like
internet
React
works, it
plus
will help you
front
in
end stuff.
learning the
Yes,
concept of
yes,
Web3.
Abhishek is right. Like yeah, React plus front end stuff will do.
Yes. So thank you guys for attending today's session. Stay tuned with us for the further session updates. So we are ending the meet now. Thank you for joining.
It was pleasure.